Hi, I'm Janae Lynn, your hypnotherapist, and I'm here to talk today about the primary distortion, which is what I believe all human suffering is rooted in. I know that's a big statement, but I will back it up. So, the primary distortion is our undoing. It is So you are always whole and at rest with the breath. That is your basis. And sometimes you may begin to diminish yourself. It is not just one moment or mistake that we make, but a layered process. And this process begins with the tiny doubt that maybe I am not. I think of the mind like a house. Inside this house lives two main parts, the conscious and the subconscious. Between them is a narrow threshold that is as porous or as solid as the current state of mind allows. I call this space the limnismus. Other hypnotherapists call this space the critical faculty or some sort of gate, but I have given it a name myself. So the word comes from two ideas. Limon, referring to the mental threshold between lack of perception, and isthmus, meaning a narrow strip of land that divides and connects two seas. So the limnismus is the threshold. It is the place where ideas must cross from one side to the other. The conscious and the subconscious are meant to work together in harmony. The conscious is the part that sees and interacts with the world. Its directive is to act on the discernment of I am. It hears, it feels, it decides. It chooses what to accept and what to reject. The subconscious is the part that receives. It takes in the seeds that the conscious plants. I call these sacred suggestions. It grows those seeds into thoughts. They manifest into feelings, into behaviors. When they are in partnership, the mind is balanced. Imagine I come across a flower. I see it, I smell it, I touch it. My conscious mind takes in all of that stimulus. It begins to decide, this is good, this is pleasant. That thought crosses the limnismus as a sacred suggestion. The subconscious accepts it like soil accepts a seed, and it manifests into a belief. Flowers are good. From that belief come behaviors. I look for more flowers. I pause to enjoy them again. This is how the partnership is supposed to work. This is how it does work, for better or worse. The conscious chooses, the subconscious receives. Together they create life. But sometimes things go differently. Imagine I reach for a rose and the thorn pricks my finger. Pain shocks me. Suddenly, the good experience turns painful. The conscious becomes overwhelmed. It does not know what to do with this new information. It's a complete contradiction. It pulls back just after it sends an impression. It goes silent. Yet even without guidance, the subconscious still receives something. So an impression is an uninspired suggestion. It happens automatically out of pain or some sort of trauma. And that impression goes into the subconscious. Rose is hurt. That impression plants itself. It manifests into a new belief. I should avoid roses. I should avoid flowers maybe. Now the subconscious is still working, but the conscious is silent. And when silence stretches too long, the subconscious begins to feel it as lack, because technically it is lacking information. It is like two friends who always talk. One calls the other every day, but one day the calls stop, and the one who is waiting wonders, did I do something wrong? Is something wrong with me? That wondering is the seed of doubt. It's the beginning of diminishment, to wonder if you lack. When the conscious does not speak, the subconscious whispers, maybe I am not. This maybe is the crack. This is where the distortion enters. Instead of resting in truth, I am, the subconscious begins to wonder if it is enough. The distortion unfolds in steps. The first step is that the conscious withdraws from communion with the subconscious. It stops sending guidance. The subconscious then feels the silence as a void. It mistakes the stillness as emptiness. And then doubt begins. The whisper comes, maybe I am not. And then the longing to judge appears, the longing to know. The mind wants to decide, am I enough or am I lacking? Then judgment happens. Even asking the question begins to diminish the self, let alone the judgment. The subconscious flips itself, it inverts. Instead of receiving from the inside as it was created to do, it tries to choose by looking outward. The subconscious now plants the self as a seed in the outside world. It measures the self against the world, external input. It asks, am I good enough? Do I have enough? Am I lacking? At the same time, the conscious, still silent, follows along. The part meant to choose is now following. The part meant to receive is now choosing. Both are out of place and therefore misaligned. This is the depth of self-diminishment. And the way back to wholeness is simply to remember you never left. It's not always easy, but begin with noticing, pausing, returning. Be still. Remember who you are. This is what I call sacred receptivity. It can happen in many ways. Alone in meditative practices, facilitated through hypnotherapy or other modalities, all at once in sudden enlightenment, all lead to the same place, the subconscious resting again in the breath of I am. When the subconscious receives its sacred suggestions from I am this time, it grows new thoughts. It grows new behaviors. Those patterns help the conscious return to its role. Even if the conscious has been hurt and cannot cope, the subconscious can carry the seed of I am in its intended function. That seed brings healing. That seed restores the partnership. Distortion happens when we plant ourselves outward, when we judge our worth by what the world gives back. Healing means returning inward. When we rest again in the breath of I am, the cycle always ends the same way. Our consciousness returns and we remember our wholeness. But what if the process happened differently? What if in the beginning, when consciousness decides not to cope and goes silent, that silence where you aren't receiving inspiration or the ideas aren't coming or trauma happens, don't try to change the silence. Instead, be still and know who you are. Be still and know I am. Allow those divine seeds to gestate, to take root, and to manifest into what to do next. And in this way, you never forget your wholeness. You never move into distortion, thereby forgetting who you are. We cannot control the world of effect. We can, however, control our response to external events. You are whole. You always were. Sometimes you just forget. And if you do, just remember, be still and know.